How many of you know that the original settlers of Wilmington were the Swedes in 1638? Well, 1988 marks the 350th anniversary of the original Swedish settlement right here in Wilmington. And we're going to have a big party here in Wilmington. Bob Holdway is here to tell us all about the celebration and the planning that's underway right now. Bob, welcome to Focus Delaware.
Thank you.
Bob, your official title here I see is Waterfront Chairman, Kalmar Nickel Commemorative Committee.
That's right.
That's quite a mouthful. What's Kalmar Nickel?
Kalmar Nickel was the name of one of the two ships that brought the original colonists over from Sweden in 1638. Kalmar Nickel, our sister city, is Kalmar over in Sweden. And the nickel part is the key of Kalmar. So that's what it stands for.
I see.
And this was put together by a group of Swedish merchants in Sweden that hired the ships to be sent over. And Peter Minuet, who was also the governor of New Netherlands, was leading the group.
Now, this was the first Swedish settlement in the New World.
That's right. And they landed at the Rocks over at East 7th Street. Old Swedes Church is at the corner of Church and 7th Street. And that was one of the first churches built on the East Coast. And it's still being used. It's one of the oldest churches that's still being used, built in 1698.
Now, we know the names of those original Swedish settlers. Does that last name still predominate and work its way through Wilmington families?
Oh, yes. There's quite a few. Matter of fact, our present governor can trace some of his ancestry back to the original Swedes that came over. And as can a lot of other people that are in both the Delaware Swedish Colonial Society as well as the Kalmar Nickel Commemorative Committee.
Now, in 1938, for the 300th anniversary, there was a big party, but this one's even going to be bigger, I understand.
I sure hope so. And in 1938, we had President Roosevelt was here, also Prince Bertil, and the young prince, who is now king of Sweden, came but got sick and couldn't leave the ship. And so Prince Bertil, who was the regent at the time, did the honor of actually commemorating the Fort Christina State Park, which is down at East 7th Street.
Yeah, tell us about our big party we're going to have in 1988.
In 1988, we are planning a full year of celebration. And we're going to have kickoff dinners. A symphony will be written to commemorate the affair, stamp issues, the Kalmar Nickel landing ceremonies, and what we hope to do is to build a replica of the Kalmar Nickel as it was then, but to meet modern day standards that we have now, so it can actually be an operating ship. And there's already a berth for it down at Fort Christina Park, and we hope to have it down there as a continuing tourist attraction for Wilmington.
Now, sports are going to be involved in this 1988 agenda also.
Oh, yes. We have been in touch with various people, both here and in Sweden, trying to set up the common sports, such as soccer, ice hockey, and the track and field, and other things that Ken Lundstrom has been trying to set those up, and we will be hearing more about those in the future.
Now, you mentioned that a stamp is going to be issued. What's the idea of that?
Well, it will be a stamp to commemorate the 350th landing of the Swedes and Finns, actually, at Fort Christina Park. And it will be a stamp to commemorate this, and it's already passed the State House, a recommendation for the stamp to be issued. And also Sweden has already agreed to simultaneously issue a stamp at the same time, and we are negotiating with the Finnish government for Finland to also issue a stamp at the same time, all issuing the same stamp, 3 different countries. It'll be the first time in history that 3 different countries have issued a stamp commemorating the same event.
Now, the reason why the Finns are involved is because some of those original settlers were Finnish also.
At the time, Sweden owned Finland, and part of the settlers were Finnish. They
That
were
was in
Swedes and Finns.
1638.
1638,
What was
right.
the name of that settlement in 1638 here in what was now Wilmington?
What is now Wilmington was Christinaham, which was named after the young Queen Christina. And then actually it grew, and what we know as Delaware now became New Sweden. And of course that only lasted for 17 years, and then the Dutch took over, and then the English came 3 years later, and it became Wilmington, and then finally Delaware, or Delaware for the Virginia governor.
Who's going to pay the ticket for this big party?
Well, one thing that we have done, we formed the Kalmar Nickel Committee into a charitable, tax-free institution or establishment, and we will be going out for funds. We've applied for matching funds. We're going to our own members to be founding members, to get seed money, to get things started and get the ball rolling. We feel that once we get the ball rolling, particularly in that 7th Street Park area, that we can interest developers into doing some of the other work that needs to be done. We will use state funds, private funds. For instance, the Kalmar Nickel ship could very well use some modern DuPont, Hercules, Atlas products in it and still be authentic as far as the building of the ship itself is concerned. Of course, we would welcome the help from any of these companies that would like the publicity.
Well, Bob, between now and 1988, I hope you keep us apprised of the developments, stages as we go through.
We certainly will. We'll be glad to.
Very good. This has been Bob Holdway, Waterfront Chairman of the Kalmar Nickel Commemorative Committee, talking about our big party for New Sweden in 1988 for its 350th anniversary. Thanks for being on our show.